Today's topic is craziness. Craziness is the center of any political discussion. You have Democrats that are trying to make Donald Trump look extremely crazy, and some say that he succeeded in the recent debate. Others say that it was a catastrophic failure for the Democrats and Trump won. Let me know what you guys think. But here in Canada, they're trying to do the exact same thing to Pierre Poilievre. They're trying to make Pierre look absolutely crazy. Pierre is saying enough is enough. I'm putting a motion forward for a vote of non-confidence. So, in other words, Pierre Poilievre is trying to call an election, and we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out, because you have the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, that has said, I am tearing up my coalition deal, and we're gonna take on Justin Trudeau and Pierre, and whenever an election comes, it's gonna come. Well, Pierre is saying, how about we do it next week, tough guy? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage everyone to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. We're on route to like 405,000 subscribers. We are growing at a tremendous rate. So I just want to thank everybody who is participating in that. And I want to thank all of the new and long existing channel members on this channel. It does really help keep this channel afloat. And if you do want to be a channel member, you want to pay less than the carbon tax, then click and tap that join button below. It's in the description, the pinned comment below, and literally a join button on the channel. Without further ado, let's get into this video here. There's a lot to talk about, folks. I am sorry in advance if this is a longer video than normal. So we're going to start off with the polls like we always do here. You have Pierre Poilievre at 212 projected seats, bottom line 181, top end 234. Justin Trudeau and Liberals at 77 seats, Bloc Québécois 36 projected seats, and the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, hold on here, hold on. I got to zoom in. My eyes aren't that good. Hold on. What does that say? Is that 20 seats, 30 seats? No, that says 16 seats, Jagmeet. 16 seats. Also, my computer's saying seniors should read this before booking a hearing test. Wow, I zoomed in. Craziness where it thinks I'm a senior citizen. All right, 99% likely across the board for the Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre, to win the most seats and odds of winning a majority government. And when you look at the coalitions that could potentially happen, you get the Bloc and the Liberal. They together would apparently, according to the projections, get 113 projected seats. And then you have Liberals, the Green Party, and the NDP with 95 projected seats. And if you did have the NDP, the Bloc, and the Liberals, you would have 130 projected seats. So it is a pretty impactful three-way coalition if that does happen. But we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out, because he did tear up the coalition, and Pierre just called for an election next week on day one of Parliament on Monday. And again, if you do like to watch House of Commons, House of Canada, I do have another YouTube channel linked down below in the description called House of Canada. We try and stream every single episode of Question Period. Highly recommend you guys subscribe to that channel as well, because the debates get insanely out of hand. And speaking of out of hand, you have America saying, hey, we haven't sent you enough money. Here is $750 million. No, yeah, $717 million to Ukraine for its war against Russia, says America. Now, in the debate, you had a phenomenal question that was asked. ABC moderators asked Donald Trump, who do you want to win, Russia or Ukraine? And he says, there's no winners in war. If I'm president, I'm going to make it end. And they said, oh, that's interesting. So who do you want to win? And he said, I just want the wars to end. So many lives are being lost. And that is honestly the only answer that there should be. There is no, I want Russia to win. I want Ukraine to win. How about we just end wars and stop the warmongers from being in power with their fingers on the nuclear button, while also simultaneously becoming multi-millionaires or even billionaires for themselves, all their friends, and their family. It's, what's that word? Corruption. Anyways, let's segue into some Canadian stuff here. You've got a man puking as he crosses the street because of all the horrible news that is happening here in Canada. So this is the reaction of someone who is experiencing the Bank of Canada cuts rates 3 times in a row, and your neighbor sells his house 25% below the current list pricing of your home, which you're selling that is already $450 below peak 2022 prices. Welcome to Canada. That pretty much summed things up. Sorry if that was too graphic to see somebody puking, but honestly, that's the state of Canada right now. It just makes people want to throw up. I am sick to my stomach at what has happened to my beautiful, wonderful country, and I'm sure you are as well. And see charts like this, statistics like this that Brian Lilly from the Toronto Sun shares of overdoses. Overdoses in Ontario have been at an all-time peak. Coincidentally, just as we started issuing all of those safe consumption sites. I'm sure that doesn't have to do with one another, right? Said nobody. Then you have Tracy Wilson, who works with the CCFR, sharing this post here from Canada Proud. Report is someone from Ontario, resident Wendy, 58 years old, has been charged with assault with a weapon after accidentally squirting a bystander with water during a water gun fight with some neighborhood children. Can you imagine that? The whole neighborhood's having a water gun fight and you accidentally squirt some water on somebody and they're like, that's assault with a weapon. That's actually happening. That's right here in Canada. You can't make that up. And I'm sure you're going to hear Justin Trudeau talk about how we need to ban assault style water projected guns because he's just unhinged these days. Speaking of these days, this is a clip from back when you know when of Justin Trudeau making fun of anybody who waves a Canadian flag and ripping into Pierre Poilievre. Let's take a quick look at this, and then we got a whole lot of other clips to show about what just happened in the past 8 hours.
So beyond having a plan to make people mad and amplify and reflect back that anger, we haven't really seen a lot of concrete proposals from Mr. Poilievre. I mean, he did make one. That's not fair. You're right. He had one great opportunity for people to opt out of inflation. He recommended this last spring. You can opt out of inflation if you invest your money in Bitcoin. Yeah. No. He stayed up late, watched all sorts of YouTube videos, and came to that conclusion. He said that himself. Buy Bitcoin, opt out of inflation. Well, any Canadian who actually listened to, maybe that's why those guys with the flags are so mad at me. Any Canadian who listened to him would have lost more than half their life savings since last March. That's not responsible leadership. It's not responsible leadership to go and speak to groups that are known for denying the reality of residential schools, as he did just last week, or for attacking the rights of LGBT community Canadians, or for talking up men's rights while attacking feminism at the same time. That's not the kind of path you need for Canadians, and yet he unapologetically does those things because that's a way to foment anger, to build up outrage.
Right. Speaking of outrage, this guy is calling people that wave Canadian flags racists and many other worse things than that. It just doesn't make any sense, man. Trudeau, anyone who doesn't support Trudeau, he says, what's wrong with you? Pierre Poilievre is brainwashing you and you're being indoctrinated by MAGA politics. How about we just don't like you because you're a garbage human being? You gaslight people. You are fake. You put on those smiles and you wave at people that are heckling you. You have never once gone up to a group of people that are heckling you, that are protesting you and said, hey, why are you protesting? Is there anything I can do to, give you more trust in the government? He doesn't care about that. He's an extremely fake individual, and that is part of the reason why people are fed up with him. This would be a 3-hour long, multi-hour long video if I had to list all the reasons why people are angry with Justin Trudeau. But now we're going to shift away a little bit from Justin Trudeau and take a look at the next worst person, Jagmeet Singh. So Jagmeet Singh and the NDP are going on the public transport and they're going, hey, look at us. We are awesome people. Well, this is what Jagmeet just recently said in a press conference in response to Pierre Poilievre calling him sellout Singh, among other things here.
I think what Pierre Poilievre is doing, and the Conservatives have done for a long time, they like to insult. They like to make things about petty insults and make things about attacking people personally. You see, what I do is I attack what he's going to do to Canadians. I'm concerned that Pierre Poilievre's vision of Canada is to tear down our healthcare system. And so I attack him on the policy that he's going to hurt Canadians by tearing down our healthcare system, and so you're going to have to pay out of pocket to get the care you need. I think that is horrible. I think that's bad. But I attack him on his policies, on his bad decisions, on his track record. He likes to insult people and call people names. I think that shows you what type of person he is. And that's going to be an important part of the decision Canadians make in the next election. Do you want someone who pays petty insults and insults people personally, or someone who's actually going to fight for you to make sure you have a good healthcare system? That's a part of the choice Canadians have in the next election.
Ah, yes, the classic purity spile where Pierre Poilievre and everyone else who criticizes what I'm doing, they're criticizing it wrongfully, or they're not criticizing it the way I am criticizing it. Therefore, my criticism is above and beyond and is significantly better than anyone else because I'm doing it and I'm setting the parameters in which you are allowed to do certain things or how you can approach certain things. Jagmeet Singh is constantly going down this purity spiral, and it's so friggin' annoying. Not only is it disingenuous, it's fake. People see right through it. Anyone who supports him, I'm sorry, but as they say down south, bless your heart. Next up, you have another video of him. I'm not going to listen to your advice, Pierre. I'm not going to listen to you. You are the worst person ever.
I say directly to Pierre Poilievre, I'm not going to listen to you, someone who wants to destroy our healthcare system, who wants to hurt seniors by cutting their pensions, someone who wants to attack workers, someone who wants to strip away dental care from seniors. What kind of person wants to strip away dental care when seniors have just gotten it, when kids are receiving it? Who wants to take that away from them? I'm never going to listen to someone like that. So no, I'm not going to listen to your advice. You want to destroy people's lives. I want to build up a brighter future. I want to build a better future for Canadians.
There you go. I'm not going to listen to you, but I'm going to cut up the coalition the way you've suggested many, many times. Sorry, buddy, but ipso de facto, you've listened to him, whether you want to admit it or not. And now we're going to take a look at some failed Liberal MPs here. Radical environmental minister Stephen Guilbeault and his vampire friend and what they have to say about what is going on.
I think clearly we need to do a better job of explaining some of the things we've been doing. Carbon pricing certainly being one of them. We've seen certainly in the last few months that there's a shift on the issue of carbon pricing in Canada. I think we need to continue explaining why we're doing this to Canadians, why we need to fight climate change, why we're putting in place these measures that we are putting in place. But you know, it is more complex to explain that than to say you should just not do this, you should not do this, not do that, without offering anything. It's the total absence, as Jean-Yves was saying, it's the absence of vision, it's the absence of plan. He has no measure to offer when it comes to fighting climate change, adapting to the impacts of climate change. He would rip apart the first ever national adaptation strategy, which will help save lives in Canada, which has already started to help save lives, which will save Canadians billions of dollars. If we don't do that, Canadian taxpayers are on the hook for, according to various estimates, between $25 and $35 billion of climate change impacts per year. We're all paying for this. No one will get a bill home saying this is your climate change impacts bill for the year, but we will all be paying for that. And unfortunately, Mr. Poilievre has nothing to say about that.
I'll just add something. So sorry to be rude and to interrupt the
You're never
conversation.
Rude,
it's a great question that you ask about carbon pricing. Now, the one reason for which Pierre Poilievre might want to have an election very soon on axe the tax and carbon pricing is that he's starting to feel the change in Canadians' understanding of the great value of that carbon pricing. Now, we have changed the name now to make it better understood that there's a carbon rebate that comes with carbon pricing. Now, if you look at the numbers, you note that Canadians understand much better now in September 2024 that 8 out of 10 of Canadians receive more in their pockets than they pay through the carbon price. Now, that's not good news for Pierre Poilievre, now, who has never acknowledged that with carbon pricing also comes a carbon rebate, which makes life more affordable for 8 families out of 10. I'm an economist, and it's very rare that an economic policy achieves the goal of, say, reducing pollution and putting more money in the pockets of the majority of middle class and lower income Canadians. Now, he knows that, And he fears that Canadians are starting to understand that it's good for affordability, it's also good for reducing pollution, and it's also great, as Mark Carney was saying, and as loads of business leaders are telling, it's also great for prosperity, economic growth, creation of good middle-class jobs across Canada.
Right. I think it's just really hard to believe anything these people say when they are consciously screwing over 41 plus million Canadians with their policies. The carbon pricing does not give more money back to 8 out of 10 Canadians. That's factually incorrect. There are independent polls that have been conducted that prove otherwise. I've done polls here on this channel. You can go look at the community tab posts there on my channel, and you'll see that some polls have 40 plus, 50 plus thousand of votes. Have you received more than what you've put into the carbon tax? And you have always, it's 8 out of 10 Canadians are not getting more money back than what they are putting into the carbon pricing. So they have the numbers right, just in the wrong order. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about that. And then you have Justin Trudeau, who gave a speech here, or I guess he was approached by reporters at the final days of this Liberal retreat in Nanaimo. Let's take a look at what he has to say. Man, he does not look good. He looks like super stressed.
You were asked at the beginning about Alexander Mendez's comments, and you sort of responded with some of the things we've heard from you, things like slogans like confident Canadians invest themselves. I'm not sure people really understand what that means. How do you convince people in sort of everyday language that you can actually win this election, given what people are hearing at the door, given what people are hearing from constituents, given what the polling shows? How do you actually keep them on board?
Well, thank you, Marika, for asking me what it means to say that confident countries invest in themselves. Because that's the choice that we have made, and we've made it consistently since 2015, and it's more important now than it's ever been. Canada has one of the strongest balance sheets in the world, the lowest deficit, the lowest debt to GDP ratio amongst G7 nations, the highest per capita foreign investment in the G20. Companies around the world are investing their futures in Canada. We were the third largest country in the world for foreign direct investment just last year, after the US and Brazil. People around the world are investing in Canada because they believe in Canadians, they believe in Canadian workers, they believe in the future we're building here. This government is doing the same thing. We are investing in the future of Canada by making sure kids have room in daycares so that their parents can get the jobs and careers that they want and that our economy needs them to do. We're investing in the kinds of resource economy that leads into the knowledge economy, whether it's leading the world on electric vehicle supply chains or drawing in global investment in strong jobs of the future. We are stepping up and investing in our future. We believe in Canadians. The world believes in Canadians. You know who doesn't believe in Canadians? Pierre Poilievre. Because his answer to what do you do with the strongest economy in the strongest fiscal balance sheet in the world right now is you cut. You cut programs that Canadians need. You cut the school food programs. It's going to save families $800 on grocery bills. You cut the spots in childcare that are allowing women to get back into the workforce and build those careers they need. You cut the programs that are delivering for Canadians right when they need it. We have the strongest macro balance sheet in the G7. We believe in putting that in service of Canadians by investing in them. And the answer the Conservatives are bringing forward is, oh no, we'll create growth and opportunities through cutting programs Canadians are relying on. That's the choice that people get to make in these upcoming by-elections. That's the choice people are going to make next year. And I can't wait to continue getting into it this fall with Pierre Poilievre, whose perspective is cuts are the only way forward, because I know that confident countries invest in their future, invest in their workers, invest in their people, And that's what we're going to continue to do. Merci beaucoup.
It's extremely disingenuous for him to say that Pierre is against Canadians investing in themselves. Look, why not allow Canadians with, affordability across the board? Why not allow Canadians to invest in themselves instead of saying we can manage your money better than you can, because honestly, they think that we're stupid. Right? They must, because they're making those claims that they can manage our money better than we can manage it with all of these social programs that don't work. It's a facade. It's a brochure. It's a headline to make it seem like it works. Look, the $10 a day childcare, I would directly benefit. I would be the first to tell you if it was a half decent program. In theory, it's all right. $10 a day? Are you kidding me? I got 2 kids. That would be a lifesaver. Holy smokes. I would have had to apply 4 years before my kids were even born for that program. It doesn't make any sense. And I live in a town with 100,000 people, or just under 100,000 people. I can't imagine the wait list of wait times for people that live in major cities. It's a failed program. And from my understanding of that program, if you didn't apply as a child care facility, if you didn't apply for that program within a certain time frame and you didn't meet that requirement, you were automatically denied. And there isn't now new child care facilities that can apply as of today. That deadline has come and gone. So they've already given out all the grants for that. And they've allocated the money for, the people that have been approved, but that's it. There's not more childcare facilities that are being $10 a day. It doesn't make any sense. It's costing us billions of dollars. Pierre Poilievre knows this, which is why Pierre Poilievre stood in front of Parliament and said this today.
Bring home the international student system we had before Justin Trudeau, which was a modest number of young people who were extremely promising, could come here and study, and if they excelled, they followed the law, they learned English or French, they could permanently join the Canadian family. We brought them in numbers that we could house, employ, and care for in the event they needed health care. That system was the best in the world. It was under Sean Fraser, who just opened the floodgates and brought in so many people that now, by the admission of Trudeau, Miller, and the entire Liberal government, it's out of control and it's hurting our housing market. In Brampton, they found 26 international students living in one basement, in one house. Kids are being sold into sex slavery and are being sent back to India in body bags. This is turning into a massive humanitarian crisis, entirely caused by Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. We will bring home common sense on international students, temporary foreign workers, and population growth. We'll cap population growth so that the housing stock always grows faster than the population.
That seems like it would be a 40% reduction based on where we are right now.
We'll have exact numbers in the next election, but we're building like 240,000 homes. That's like 1.4% increase in our housing supply. You can't grow the population faster than that unless you're going to have worse housing shortages. So we've been, under Trudeau and the NDP, we've been growing the population by almost 3%, while we grow the housing stock by 1.3, 1.4%. No wonder we're running out of homes. That's not even a question of whether you support or not immigration. It's a question of whether you support mathematics. And humans need homes, and I don't care where they come from. It doesn't matter if you've been here for 2 days or 2 centuries, your family's been here for 2 centuries. You need a place to live. The only way to get rid of the shortage is to build homes faster than we add people, and that's why we will have a mathematical formula that caps population growth below the growth in the housing stock.
Right. And that's something a lot of people with common sense, everybody with common sense can agree with, that we need to fix those issues. And Pierre has a system in place. He understands and acknowledges them, which is why he's just called moments ago for a vote in no confidence. Let's take a look at this. We need to expedite the election. We need it to happen sooner than later.
I'm announcing that Common Sense Conservatives will put forward a non-confidence motion at the earliest possible opportunity. And I'm asking Jagmeet Singh and the NDP to commit unequivocally before Monday's by-elections. Will they vote non-confidence to bring down the costly coalition and trigger a carbon tax election? Or will Jagmeet Singh sell out Canadians again? Which will it be? It's put up or shut up time for the NDP. There will be a carbon tax election, and in it, Canadians will decide whether they keep the NDP Liberals in power to tax your food, punish your work, double your housing cost, unleash crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder on our streets. Will they vote for a 61 cent a litre carbon tax? Or will they elect a common sense conservative government that will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime? And we need to bring them down now, because otherwise carbon tax Carney's agenda will predominate. We found out that there's a new phantom finance minister. Now, they have a lame duck minister right now who Trudeau is pushing aside, just like he pushed aside other female ministers. And he's bringing in carbon tax Carney.
Okay, that's a direct reference to the time that Justin Trudeau had to publicly apologize in the House of Commons, because as he was making his way on the House floor, he elbowed a woman on the floor, and she claimed that it was, misogynistic and that it hurt and whatever, right? We all seen the clip at one point or another. This is years ago. And that is a subtle dig from Pierre Poilievre. And this is why we love him. He doesn't come out guns blazing like Donald Trump, which a lot of people like. Personally, I like that style, but I also like and appreciate this style that Pierre does, these subtle digs. That it's not the first time he shrugs to the side a female MP. Holy smokes.
Someone who has too many conflicts to hold the real position. Trudeau said he offered carbon tax Carney the real job. But that caused a dilemma. Would carbon tax Carney pick power or money? And he said, I know, I'll have both. He keeps the money with his chairmanship of a large multinational corporation that's moving investment to China, that buys pipelines in Latin America and the Middle East while he opposes them here in Canada. He gets to push his radical Davos agenda of you will own nothing and be happy, while at the same time, he doesn't have to respect any of the conflict of interest laws. He doesn't have to have his interests and his investments exposed online like the rest of us. He gets all the power and all the money and none of the accountability. And my worry is that he's going to push for a higher carbon tax. And we know that because when Trudeau relented under my pressure and paused the carbon tax on home heating for oil-heated homes, carbon tax Carney stood up and said, no, there should be a tax on home heating right now. In other words, carbon tax Carney believes the tax doesn't go far enough. I have quotes from his book here. And I raise this with you because he was trying to weasel out and keep his position secret in yesterday's press conference. Here's what he said in his book. The Canadian federal carbon pricing framework is a model for others. One of the most important initiatives is carbon pricing. The best approach is revenue-neutral progressive carbon tax. These are among the reasons why people are starting to know him as carbon tax Carney. There we go. Even a nice little horn to mark.
A nice honk.
Carbon tax Carney is now official.
The timing of that is just impeccable.
It's a radical agenda. My message to carbon tax Carney is come in from out of the shadows. We don't need a phantom finance minister. If you are going to be pulling the strings, you should be on the floor of the House of Commons with your massive financial interests and your foreign interests disclosed to Canadians. Stop pushing to kill Canadian jobs while you ship the jobs abroad. Make your carbon tax agenda known and be held accountable for Canadians so that we can choose in the carbon tax election.
There you go. Let's freaking call the election. We're going to have to wait and see what Jagmeet has to say about this. But let's go, buddy. Let's go, tough guy. Come on. What are you scared? What are you scared of? What are you afraid? Oh, you tore up the coalition. You're not in the same room. You're not in the same bed sheets as Justin Trudeau anymore. So this is what you want. So go ahead and let's get the election rolling. I can tell you, man, the majority of Canadians do not want to wait for the next election. And Liberals somehow are under the delusion that they can actually win the election, whether it happens now or later. So I think everybody can pretty much agree, why not have an election right now? Let's just settle it. And you know what? If Trudeau wins, Pierre refutes, and that's it. He goes, okay, no more, we're done. You win, Trudeau, you win, right? But that's not going to happen because we all know, not just through polling, but we all know through sheer undeniable evidence, Justin Trudeau is going to lose the election, whether it happens right now, next week, in a month, or in a year from now. But as always, I will pass the question off to you. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about Pierre's subtle digs at Justin Trudeau? How do you feel about him calling an election? What do you think Jagmeeta is going to say? And let me know what you guys think about carbon tax. Carney. As always, at the end of the video, I'd like to encourage you guys one last time, if you haven't yet already, to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.